Dr. Owusu Ocho. It's Dr. O for the 804. As the premier knee and hip shoulder sports surgeon in Virginia, I would like to remind you that health equals power. Sports build and uplift communities, nothing else can. The mission of sports medicine is to keep athletes of all ages and levels at the top of their game. Dr. O is located at Ortho, Virginia, Schrader Road office location. Appointments can be scheduled online at orthovirginia.com or by calling 804-939-6688. You can follow Dr. O on Instagram at Dr. O _ for the 804 and uplifting educational content about sports health.
Hi everyone, I'm Coach Rick Stockel. I am co-owner of Newman & Dunn Real Estate here in Central Virginia, as well as I am a high school boys basketball coach at Monacan High School. I've sold over 1,300 homes here in Central Virginia, and I would love to work with you and your family in your home buying needs. I am a proud primary sponsor of Ballin' in Virginia, and I hope you enjoy this show.
Well, you know, I love Principal Merritte, John Marshall. Mm-hmm. When you talk about supporting a sports program, mm-hmm. she is the creme de la creme. Because what she has done is she has taken a very marginalized school, mm-hmm. and she has allowed those coaches mm-hmm. to develop a program, a winning program, a nationally winning program. Mm-hmm. And she allows the community to come in and support them. Mm-hmm. She embraces people that embrace them. Mm-hmm. You know, it's such a good look. And she's a woman,
right?
You know, who's at the helm of the success that they're having, you know, at John Marshall. Right. And I think it's just incredible.
Welcome to another episode of BallinVA. And today, oh man, I'm just in awe. I'm in awe. But I got to first give credit to this lady right here. Karen, thank you so much. Thank you for, you know, just being, you know, supportive. And ever since we met, you know, through our Prince William County group, you know, when you was, you know, being mean to me, you know, but no, you weren't being mean. We just was two competitors.
Yeah.
And you actually made this happen because the lady that we have here today, like you said, gold standard.
Yes.
You know, but first, I want to introduce y'all. She's back for the first time. Karen Bettis-Davis. She's communication specialist at Hayfield. She's also a pastor, philanthropist, all of those things. And she made this thing happen today. We have gold standard. We have the pride of Northside, the joy and pride of Northside. I got to get that correct because even though I didn't go there, but I should have been. Mom, you messed that up for me. Anyhow, you know, we got the one and only Principal Monica Murray from John Marshall High School.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Honored to be here.
We finally got you in, and I don't know. I just wanted to say thank you. I watch you on social media. You be having fun. I don't, you know, normally administrators, you know, people, they're real serious. They don't really smile too much. They don't really, you know, everything is just, you know, about business. You be having fun.
Absolutely.
You know, tell us, I mean, just before we get into the things, like, how do you make that happen?
I believe in living life to the fullest.
Okay.
I was in church on yesterday, and the preacher said that I'm going to live until I die. Mm-hmm. And every single day, I want to bring joy to not only my life, but the people around me. And so I love to laugh. I love to have fun. And when I was in high school, it was the best time of my life.
Okay.
So I walked through those doors saying that I'm going to make this time with my students the best time of their life. And so if I have to get silly to do it, I'm open to doing that, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Y'all be dancing. Y'all be just, I mean, y'all have, I mean, everything, man. Y'all be having the gram lit, mm-hmm. you know. And I'll just say about it for me, when we was in school, you know, of course, none of this stuff was happening at all, you know. Yeah. So I don't know about you at Phoebus, you know, but at Kennedy, it won't happen. So, and we are all public school, you know, people. You know, you graduated from Georgia, of course. I'm from John F. Kennedy. You from the great Phoebus. So, we in great company here.
The Phoebus High School.
I'm sorry, the Phoebus. The Phoebus. We got 757 in here. And y'all know how I do about 757. We ain't about that today. We ain't gonna give them a hard time in here today. Because I am hard on 757. I'm telling you, I give them a hard time.
That's all right.
But the Phoebus, the Phoebus Phantoms, because a guy was in here, Priv. He said he beat up that little muscle man. Y'all had the little Phoebus Phantom, little mascot. So, but let's get back to the seriousness. Principal Mary, where did it all start for you?
Well, I am a product of public education.
Okay.
Graduated, as you said, from Richmond Public Schools, George Wythe High School. I'm a bulldog till I die.
Okay.
Southside.
Southside.
And like I said earlier, high school was amazing. I had a ball. I was homecoming queen, senior year, really involved in high school. And I remember what it did for me, building that confidence, understanding who I was. Nobody had to tell me who I was because we got all of that from the teachers, the administrators in our building when we were growing up.
Okay.
And so as I began to figure out what I wanted to do in life, education was always important. My mom was a teacher. All of my aunts were teachers. And so it was easy for me to think about going down that road. And so when I decided that I wanted to teach, that's really all I wanted to do.
Really?
All I wanted to never even imagine being an administrator. But I was nosy. So I was the kid who wanted to know why.
Yeah.
Why everything was happening.
Yeah.
And so as I began to go through my career, I would sit up under every principal and try to figure out why. Why you make the decisions you make. Why is it that we move this way? Or why do we make those choices? Or why is it that kids can or can't do? And so I sat up under every principal and learned the ropes. Again, still never thought about being the leader of a building. And every year, opportunities came. My master's, I didn't have to pay for it.
Wow.
My endorsement in education, leadership, I didn't have to pay for it.
Wow.
And so I got all of these opportunities.
Yeah.
So it drove my desire to make sure that the kids that I support and educate have those opportunities as well.
Yeah.
There's too much out here for kids to not be able to get those opportunities for free. And so that's kind of how I ended up in the seat, being nosy, trying to figure out how all of this worked. Because you're not going to tell me and it not make sense. Like,
Right.
you're not going to just put some information in front of me. I have to process it and it has to make sense.
Yes.
And so in doing that, then I began to get called to sit on committees or serve in leadership capacities. So I was doing the work without really knowing I was doing the work. And then the opportunity came. I interviewed several times for AP position. It just wasn't the time. Then the position came open at Armstrong, and it just was a perfect opportunity for me to take that, because the one principal who I set up under last was Miss Beverly Britt. And when she told me she was retiring, it was just, again, that perfect storm. Okay,
Yeah.
if she's moving on, maybe I need to start looking at some other opportunities. And so I had a wonderful time over at Armstrong as the assistant principal. And then from there, the door opened for John Marshall. And I knew before I walked in the door that the job was mine.
Amen.
Wow.
So I walked in knowing that my next position was going to be the principal at John Marshall High School. And it's been 6 years, and it's been amazing. Wow. Amazing.
Wow. And see, that's the thing. And I'm glad that you said it, because the people who are going to be watching this, talking about, your confidence, and you just knew that. Because a lot of times, what we struggle with in the inner city is, with families and everything like that, and you don't have any role models and stuff to teach us about these things. Because a lot of times, I know when I came, my grandmother and my grandparents raised me, and they weren't as educated, as today's parents are. And there's a lot of things that they just kind of struggle with, and we just kind of got left out on limb a little bit. So the fact that you have the confidence and the know-how to just so determined to do this, and I'm not saying that your parents wasn't there, but you know That's just amazing because a lot of times everything is just driven by sports and all of these other things. But you're saying to yourself like, hey, I just knew that I just wanted to do this. I was determined to do this, and you just gave hope to a lot of people that probably was sitting there second guessing themselves and like,
Yeah.
I don't know what I want to do for myself.
And I will also attest it to my faith. Understanding and having conversation with God about what are the next steps.
Yeah.
When I became the assistant principal at Armstrong, I sat in that parking lot and I said, okay, Lord, what am I supposed to do here? You put me here. What am I supposed to do? The same thing when I went to John Marshall. What are my next steps? What am I supposed to do? And I clearly hear from him. And I don't make a move without consulting him first.
Amen. And I think it's so important what you said was, that you asked a lot of questions. One of the things that I love about Socrates is that, he asked so many questions. He would ask questions for people to locate themselves and for them to find themselves. And so in the midst of you asking those questions, you found your destiny. And I think that is brilliant. I think it's one of the things that I try to tell young men to do. Like, don't just listen to what a coach is saying, but have questions prepared to ask. Figure out what you want to do and make sure that school or that system fits where you feel your destiny is, and coaching systems that can help you best reach your destiny.
Yep.
And so I think asking questions, I ask a lot of questions all the time, because I want people to be able to locate themselves.
Yes.
And figure out like where they are, what they really want to say, is this really important, and all of those things. So I think it's brilliant that you went into a situation and you got up under the right people and you asked the right questions, and it led you to your destiny.
You think about in life, the conversations that you enjoy the most are conversations where the questions keep flowing.
Yes.
Because that shows that you are interested,
Yes.
intrigued, and your mind is open.
Yes.
And that's the same thing we want to teach young people.
Yes.
Never sit in a place where somebody is completely just telling you and you're eating all that information. You should begin to ask questions.
Yes.
That's how you begin to develop relationships.
Yes.
And you begin to understand who you are.
Yes.
Because you want to know the why. The why is always important. I teach that to my staff as well.
Yeah.
Don't ever sit in a seat and not know why you're doing it.
Yeah. And that's what I do with my boys. The first meeting that I have of every year, I ask them, what is your why? And then I have them to write it down. And then we kind of talk about it. And I say, okay, well, now let's put legs on this why. How do we get here? And then what would be the final step? And then I have them put it on the face of their phone at the beginning of the school year, so that when things get hard,
Yes.
when the competition gets tough, when you're struggling with your grades, your why is always in front of you, because they love this little thing. And so, their why is always on the top of their screen, so that whenever they're going through a difficulty, they remember, this is why I'm doing this. This is why I'm going to practice. This is why I'm going to study hall. This is why, I'm working hard on my GPA. Here is my why.
Yep. It keeps us grounded.
It does.
If we don't have that why, like you said, we can go all over the place. We'll
Yeah.
be everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
This man, I'm sitting here right now and I'm just like, I'm still in awe. I'm just looking at you and just looking at both you guys and just this glow coming from over here. Like, I'm really not even supposed to be sitting here. I'm just really just ready to just pack my stuff up and just go on out here and just let y'all do what y'all do, because just the chemistry over here is just beautiful, and I just can't think enough. Oh man, this is the year of the woman. I'm gonna just
Year
say
of
that.
the woman.
I'm gonna say this is the year of the woman, and me being a black man saying it because again we're looking at the WNBA. You're looking at what Angel Reese and
Yes.
Taylor Clark is doing
Yes.
and transforming the game with the $2.2 billion deal that they got,
Yes.
bringing more money in there
Yeah.
and everything. Now you got the vice president, Kamala Harris, that's now running for the office of president in 2024,
Yes.
which I would have never thought in
Right.
this day that we'd be even allowed to even see any of this. Just what are y'all thoughts just about that?
I am in awe as well. When you tell young girls and boys that they can be anything that they put their mind to it. President Barack Obama gave us the opportunity for young men, black men, to see that come to fruition.
Yes.
And now we have the opportunity to not make that a dream, but
Yeah.
reality for young black women, that you can be anything you
Yes.
put your mind to it. And so I'm just excited. I'm excited to do the work. I'm excited to get my students registered to vote
Yes.
and have those
Yes,
conversations. You know, I'm not going to sway them on which way to
Yeah.
go,
Right,
but
right,
they
right.
should exercise their right
Yes,
to vote.
absolutely.
And so we have already started having conversations with groups to come in and help get them registered to vote. So I'm excited about that
That
as
is
well.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need that.
And I knew we'd be here. I remember when they came out after winning the election. I remember she walked out in that white suit, and I was sitting there with my children around me. We all had our Converse on, and I said then, I said, I don't think he's going to survive an entire term. And I think because of that, we're probably going to end up having our first black female president.
Wow.
And you know, so when things started to turn, you know, God just kind of brought that thought back to me. And you know, and I think when you and I talked before, we talked about, you know, I said I think the future is safe with people like Angel Reese. She's unapologetic about who she is as a woman. She is navigating beautifully this new experience that she's having in the WNBA. And the other thing that I like about her as a young person is how she is so endearing and how much she loves the women that have come before her. You know, how she talks about how she watches Asia Wilson and, you know, some others and watch them come up. Cheryl Swoops went to the game to see her. So she's in relationship with mentors that can help her navigate this thing. She's making smart business decisions with her money. And she's just living, you know, her life. And, you know, she had that one moment where she broke down when she talked about how hard it was. But that is the reality of our experience as black women. That, you know, there is the backlash, there is the I don't think we're ready, but I think we're seeing that America is ready. I had an opportunity to be on the call with black women. There's another call, a national call, I think that's happening tonight. Black men got on there. I think the women raised something like $1.5 million, and men like $2 million.
Yes.
Yeah, and then she had the women, the call for white women. There were like 130,000 women on there.
Wow.
They raised $8 million.
Wow.
And so, and I watched a story about a place called the Village in Florida, where they made the national news in the last election cycle because, you know, they're retired, you know, mostly Caucasian people in the neighborhood, and they ride around, they do a parade in their golf carts. Well, they had that parade for Trump the last time. So people went back to see what they were doing now. They had a huge parade for Kamala Harris.
I saw that. I
Yeah.
saw that. Yeah.
And so we see that the tide is changing. Taylor Swift got 34,000 people to register to vote.
Wow.
You know, and so we're seeing that America is ready. Regardless of what anyone says, we're ready for the leadership of a woman, and we're ready for the leadership of a black woman in this country. And I think this is a pivotal moment that I'm glad I'm alive to see. And I'm glad that my boys, you know, are allowed to experience that, because I think when you're in leadership, I know for me, being in leadership for so long in the church, there were places where I would go where they would say, well, you can preach anywhere but up in the pulpit. There were some churches where I would go just to go with my pastor, and they would say, we don't allow females in the pulpit.
Wow.
You know, and then, you know, when I said, you know, when I was affirmed as an apostle, well, there were no female apostles. Well, baby, reading is fundamental. Because if you read Romans 16, there's a woman there by the name of Junia. And Paul says that she was excellent amongst all of the apostles. So she wasn't just an apostle, but she was an excellent woman. And so I think Kamala Harris is an excellent woman. We know how she has ascended, and she's always done well. And so I think she'll lead this country well. I think women come with a certain level of compassion and understanding, not always as prideful and egotistical about things. And so I think that what we need in this country is probably a woman at this point. She's younger.
Yes.
She's more educated. She's well versed, and so I think it's her time, and so I'm excited to see this moment.
And what y'all say, I can't even come behind that. But this is why I push, and a lot of times I used to get a lot of pushback. Well, why don't you have more females on the show? I'm like, well, you guys are not looking long enough, because apparently I always have, I had yourself, I had a lot of the female young basketball players, because we need to see that.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, coming up, again, when my grandparents came up, that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
And I've always been an advocate of women's sports, or anything.
You are.
And this is not something I've just been doing just last week. Oh, you just got a podcast. I've always did this because, again, I'm a man that I have no problem sitting back, even raised by a single black woman, along with my grandparents. Hey, we need to get this out here.
Yeah.
We don't need to have the women behind us. We need to either be just right beside us, and we need to push the agenda. So if a woman is more qualified, hey, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
And this is why we're here to celebrate you here today. This is the reason why we're celebrating you here today. Because again, when you told me, you said, you should get Principal Murray on here, and blah, blah, blah. And the thing that she said was the most, she's like, she's a gold standard. To hear two black women, one black woman talking about another black woman like this, and in this day and age, when we're seeing a lot more ratchet stuff, no, we got to have that right here, BallinVA. So I just want to thank you, first of all, for coming on here, and Karen, you coming with this idea, because Karen has some things that she want to say to you, and we just got some questions. We just want to have some round talk, so that's why we're going to go right into that.
All right.
Well, I think the optics are important because normally we think of sports as being a male-dominated field.
Right.
When we look at people who are supporting sports, we think of men. But then we have the lady who I think she's the president of the San Antonio Spurs, if I'm not mistaken. She's a black female. And so many times we're working back behind the scenes and people don't ever get to see us.
Right.
But I have watched you over the years come to the middle of that court at the end of every championship. And you are as elated and as excited as the kids. And so your excitement is palatable, it's contagious. And so I wanted to know who you were. Who's the woman who had the matching suit on, right?
See?
Like, can I get a suit? And so I wanted to talk to you, to get us to tell us some of the things that you've done to be able to number one, facilitate that kind of success from an administrator standpoint, but also how you have helped them to navigate, because John Marshall, the justices, they are, in my opinion, a premier basketball program in Virginia. And some would even argue in the nation, and I think they held that title for a few weeks, a year ago or 2 years ago.
Yep.
And so I personally have watched them build because my brother, Kevin Bettis, is a coach there. So I have been to the gym. I've heard, I love you all's announcer.
Shout out to Mac. Shout out to Mac.
Shout out to Mac. Mac, we wish we had you when we were at Freedom. But the energy there and the camaraderie, I've known those coaches when they were doing AAU, then they went to Petersburg High School, then they came to John Marshall. So to see them grow up and develop as men, as great coaches, to navigate that system, and to realize that there is a woman that is back behind them that is supporting everything that they do. And I think it's important for people to know. And because some of the experiences that I've had with administration in the past, they aren't as supportive. Right. So I wanted to talk to you because you are very supportive and you've allowed the community to come in and support them as well. So tell me a little bit about the beginning of this reign and how you kind of began to see the vision for what it could do,
Right.
and what made you get behind it to the degree that you have?
So I realized early on that the school is the hub of the community. The school has to be the place where the community feels welcome, know that they can come and get resources. And I knew that the extracurricular activities, whether it be sports or the band or theater programs, it's what keeps kids in school.
Yes.
It's not the reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Yes.
It's all of the other things that gets kids excited about coming to school. So knew that building up the community and welcoming the community back in the building was important.
Yes.
That was one of the first things we did, was making sure that the community was aware of everything that was going on. We sent a newsletter out every week. We knew that we had to tell our story.
Yes.
Nobody else was going to tell John Marshall's story but
Yes.
us. So immediately we got onto social media and started pushing that information out. And then I knew that the consistency of the coaches in the building was going to make the difference.
Yes.
So when we specifically talk about basketball, that coaching staff has been together for 7 years through every championship that they have
Yeah.
earned. And so this year was special, or the last season was really special because that coaching staff had never departed from each other. They had always been together. So we were designing the championship rings, and we decided, let's do something different for this set of coaches, because all 5 championships, they have been a consistent unit.
Yes.
And that's all, I say that to Ty and the team that he puts together. And he knows the importance of bringing strong men in front of those boys.
Yes.
And so when you have a coaching staff that you can trust, you allow them to do their job.
Yes.
I get out the way
Yes.
and I let them do their job.
Amen.
When they have that responsibility and that freedom, they protect the gym, they protect those kids, they protect the integrity of our programs, and all I get to do is come and celebrate in the center of the court
Yes.
and get a fresh new suit every year.
She gave us the blueprint.
Yes. Yes. And I think that's important. What you said was that you trust them to do what is best for the kids. So you allow them to develop
Yep.
both as coaches, but you allow them, they assist you in helping to develop the children as well. I think that's important.
So being open to changes, open to opportunities, just being open to whatever comes to the table is also important. I don't ever sit in a conversation and I already have my answer for whoever I'm sitting across the
That's
table
good.
for. Let me hear what you have to say. Let me hear what you bring to the table. Let's make sure it's in the best benefit of our children and it's safe.
Yes.
It's really all my criteria.
Yes.
And if the kids are on board, the coaches are on board, and it keeps our kids safe, my door is open for any opportunity. So we ended up with the movie being recorded
Yes.
in the building.
Yes.
Building.
Because
Yes.
we were open to the opportunity and we were going to figure out what it looked like. We filmed that movie through a summer and a whole semester of school.
Yes.
So imagine navigating
Wow.
school
School.
around cameras and
incredible.
film crews, but the opportunity that it gave our kids, they got
Yes.
to see jobs that they never thought existed.
Yes.
Took a group of kids out there and watched somebody put trash on the ground and got a check for putting it down and picking it up. It's a job
Yes.
Wow.
that they were never aware of.
Yes.
Somebody holding the mic, the boom mic. That's a job.
Yeah.
And so when we started those conversations about Swagger being recorded in the building,
Yeah.
it was like, okay, we'll welcome you in the building. They paid us well. We were able to do some things with the money that we didn't have opportunities to do.
Yes.
And my only request was that kids get to shadow everybody on that set.
Wow.
That's brilliant.
See, people don't think like that. You're
No.
definitely thinking outside the box. Go ahead.
Yeah, so
Finish up.
trying to find those opportunities, because not everybody's gonna play basketball,
Yeah.
or be a football star, or be
Yes.
able to run track, but we can find other opportunities because not everybody wants to be a nurse
Yes.
or a teacher,
Yes.
right? So we want to make sure that kids have post-secondary plans.
Mm-hmm.
And so whatever, anybody that comes to the building, we're trying to figure out how to make those connections, especially with partners coming into the building.
And you know, I think that's incredible because talk to us a little bit about the demographic that comes to your school. Because I think you exposing them is very important, especially for the demographic that you educate. So talk a little bit about the demographics in that around John Marshall.
Yep. So our school is probably about 85% African American. Our diversity is growing because we're getting some students from other countries, definitely. And so we are right now the school with the most languages in the district, high school with the most languages in the district, which is amazing. I love that diversity that they bring to the table and learning about all of those cultures and all of that. And then, all of our students have free and reduced lunch. Many of them come from single parent homes. So they are the kids who I know and who I grew up with. It's what I'm familiar with. But I still am learning so much from the life that they live. I grew up with two parents in the home, two working parents in the home. And so the middle class values that I bring to the table are completely different than what they bring to the table.
that too.
And then I had to humble myself. Okay, Monica, the conversations that you and your parents used to have in the house are different from the
Yes.
conversations that they're having in the house.
Yes.
So I had to learn that. And how do you lead when you have to also learn how they function
Yes.
and be open to all of that?
Yeah.
And so that is like every day I walk in the door, my kids teach me something different. I love the excitement of high school because that happens every single day.
Yeah.
And then experiencing all of that through COVID, like
Yeah.
it was such a huge learning curve.
Yeah.
But again, being open. So again, I go back to the why and asking questions and wanting to know why is it that they think the way they think and function and move the way.
Yeah.
And then how do we tailor that to fit their needs?
Yeah.
My goal and theme, my theme this year is tailor-made instruction and tailor-made leadership.
Yes.
Because we're going to figure out how to make the adjustments on our end. Because they're bringing and giving us the best that they have.
Yeah.
So we're going to make the adjustments on our end so we can get them what they need and they still feel comfortable and grow in who they are.
That's wonderful. I really, look, I want a pen. I want to take notes too. Because as I'm sitting here, I'm listening to you, I'm realizing that some of the things that you put in place are some of the things that I'm trying to do in my capacity. And you're right. They do come from a different demographic. I too grew up single, with two-parent home. My father was retired sergeant major, but both of my parents were educators.
Yes.
They taught college at night, and so to grow up in that environment. And then the other thing that I noticed too is that when I grew up, my parents talked to me about Black history. I've met Hank Aaron and General Adams Ender, who's the first Black female general. I met Benjamin Hooks, and all of these people, and we knew who these people were. And I realized that this generation does not have that information. And so, I always think about what kinds of things can I do to help expose them to these strong Black hidden figures, because they're not getting, I realized they weren't getting that in the home. My father was an EEOC officer. Man, he sat us down, put the film, we sat down and watched films, the March in Selma and, and all of those things. And so you do realize the difference in the socioeconomic brackets. And so we do have to figure out how to have a language with them.
Yes. And the generational gaps.
Yes.
That we're experiencing.
Yes.
I'm a 74 baby. And so not too long after I was born, we had come out of segregation.
Yes.
Like my parents experienced that. And so those, like you said, those were the conversations at the dinner table
Yeah.
that we were having about those experiences. My aunts were at the countertops. G.C. Murphy's downtown
Yes.
dealing with all of that. So we have had access
Yes.
to all of that.
Yeah.
And this generation is so far removed from
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
No clue.
No clue.
No clue. And
And
don't
we've also
understand
had
the
access to
importance.
fathers,
Yeah.
which so many children don't. You know, and having a brother that's a coach there, I know the ones that struggle to get to school, and so they go pick them up to make sure they get to school. I know, the ones who don't have clothing, who may not always have food to eat, and all of those things. And I can remember, I think probably my first or second year at Freedom, there was a young man, and my son would call me every Friday, and he would say, "Mom, can you stop by Dick's and get some spats for this kid, some tape for these, all of this stuff." And then I found out that his father had been murdered. And then I found out that what the coaches would do is they always ordered a bunch of food, for them to eat. And so they would make sure that there was food for that kid to eat and to take home after the games, because he may not have had anything to eat. Like, those kind of situations are real.
Yeah.
And those kind of things affect not only their performance on the field, but also in the classroom. And so, how have your teachers and your counselors, how have they also kind of gotten on board to help support, what you're trying to do?
Because our students come from homes where they don't necessarily always see loving relationships, it's another thing that we push. That family dynamic at John Marshall is real.
Yes.
Like, it is palpable. When you walk in the building, you know that we're a family. And so it is important to me that when our students see us interacting as adults, they see us interacting in loving relationships. And loving relationships don't have to be sexual relationships,
Yes.
but loving platonic relationships where men and women are respecting each other and know that we all are working towards a common goal and a common vision. And so that is how all of the adults in the building help push that narrative and to help students see that we can do this work together
Yeah.
and love one another.
Yeah.
And I see the change
Yeah.
in the students. They respect each other. They do not play about their peers.
Yeah.
Like, we have incidences, don't get me wrong, where we may have arguments and disagreements amongst our students, but helping them understand how to navigate through that
Yeah.
and have those conversations, those are the conversations that we want to spend time having.
That's right.
Again, we can get the reading, writing, and arithmetic. We can get that. If we can get their heart clean
Yes.
and learn how to love each other
Yes.
and work together,
Yes.
then we can conquer the world.
Absolutely.
All the other stuff will come.
Absolutely.
So we celebrate accreditation, but accreditation becomes because we first love each other in that building.
Yeah.
We teach kids how to love each other. The theme in Richmond Public Schools is that we teach with love, we serve with love, we lead with love. Now, our superintendent brought that to the table when he came, but that has been like the motto of John Marshall.
That's wonderful.
Right? And so understanding how to work those dynamics and those relationships, that's what brings the success on that court, on that football field, on that track team. Like, we got to get through all that. So it comes with a whole lot of conversations and a whole lot of, conflict may come. But at the end of the day, when we show up, we got to be a united front.
Yeah.
And people need to know that we love doing what we do. We love showing up, and that it's because of all of that we get to the success that we have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I know, along with the success, you guys have had some challenges. There have been controversies. We go through the same thing. I remember, not this past championship, but the year before, the coach was very vocal and loud and wrong, but he was very upset, about you all. And I remember watching his interview where he said that he told his son before the game
Oh, that hurt
they
my
were
heart.
that they weren't even going to win. And I'm thinking, first of all, as a parent, if you had told my child that we're leaving,
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
leaving.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you have to compete.
Yes.
Because in life, you don't get to say, well, that person's going to get the promotion, so I'm not going to go after
Right.
it, or, that person's going to get the job, so I'm not going to apply. So what are you teaching your children? But how have you been able to handle those things and help the children navigate that kind of negative
Right.
commentary that can come out sometimes?
Right. Yeah. And again, it goes back to trust. It goes back to trusting our team, our coaches, that again, they're not going to jeopardize the integrity of our program.
Yeah.
And so the conversations that are always happening on social media, as much as I want to comment sometimes,
Yes, that's why I already come there.
I hold my peace because I know the Lord is going to fight the battle.
Yes.
But as much as I want to comment, I know our truth.
Yeah.
And our truth is that any kid that comes to John Marshall comes because they have, even if they have made a choice to come,
Yeah.
we have followed every rule that is in place.
Come on.
Every single one.
Yes.
And nobody's doing anything under the table. Nobody's doing anything that's breaking any rules.
Yes.
But for years, it has always been when parents are able to make decisions that's best for their children.
Yes.
They make those decisions.
Yes.
And so if you can afford to make those decisions
Yes.
because you have set a vision for your household, we have the opportunity to do that.
Yes.
And so it's no different than a Highland Springs who has dominated football.
Yeah.
Nobody's asking the questions of them.
Yeah.
But because this public small school on the north side of Richmond
Yes.
has found that success and we got a formula that is working for
Yes.
us, then people want to start asking questions.
Yeah.
But I tell them every time, I told Coach White, don't worry about going to the table. I'll sit and answer any question
Come on.
you
That's what you need.
answered.
Yes.
Because I know every kid, I know
Yes.
every family, I know where they live. Anybody wants to come and ask me a question,
Yeah.
please come on and ask me.
Yeah.
But that never happens. But they put it all out there. I said that the social media allows folks to hide behind
Yeah.
Right.
the freedom
Right.
to say what you want to say.
Yeah.
I celebrate anybody in their wins.
Yeah.
Anybody. Just as much as I celebrate the basketball wins that we have, I celebrate Armstrong's win in football
Sure
they
do.
had this year. They have done an amazing job turning that team and that program around. I am
right.
so
Shout out to
proud
Coach Pruitt.
of the work that Pruitt has done over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we show up still on Friday nights knowing we're going to probably get our behinds whooped. But we're not afraid of the fight.
Yeah.
We're going to keep showing up,
Yeah.
right? Because the celebration is not only what John Marshall does, but it's Richmond Public Schools.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We all are in this winning. So I showed up and went to the state championship when Armstrong played in football.
Football.
Right there on the sideline.
Wow.
Cheering them on. Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. And if I had had some time, I would have packed my football team on a bus. And we
on.
all would have been there on the sideline.
Come on.
That's what I'm talking
Cheering them on. Because again, that's a victory not only for Armstrong, but it was a victory for Richmond Public Schools.
Yeah.
And if we can get that mindset that, hey, somebody might be good over here in this, we're going to celebrate them.
Yeah.
Somebody else might be good in this, and we're going to celebrate them. But collectively, we know what that brings to the table, then that makes more and more families look at Richmond Public Schools.
Yeah.
Because Richmond Public Schools, I want in the future to be the destination district for education in Richmond. When you have a destination wedding, you are making a choice to go
Yes.
somewhere and have a celebration.
Yes.
Right.
That should be the same thing for how we educate our students
Absolutely.
in Richmond Public Schools.
I'm already sitting here saying, I hope she runs for super.
Exactly. I'm sitting here like, man.
Like, give her the position at the top.
Yeah, we definitely got something going over here. I'm like, whoo.
Because I think, I love what you say.
I feel it
that
all
you
over
are
here.
embracing not just your children, but all of the children in Richmond County Public Schools.
It should be.
That's one of the things that I love about our head coach, Daryl Overton, is that although we put a lot of kids in college, we also help other kids in other schools get to
Yes.
college. He also trains those kids that we're going to compete against in the off season. He makes phone calls to colleges to say, have you thought about this child? You know, they'll come in our building and then he'll say, look at this kid over here, look at this kid over there, because the goal is to give all of these children an opportunity to transcend their current, you know, state of life. And he always tells them, he says, you don't want to be a bill to your parents.
Right.
And so, you know, he encouraged, the whole thing is just to encourage them, you know, to go into higher education and give them the opportunity. If it becomes, you know, a professional career, that's between you, your talent, and God. But let's give you this opportunity
Yes.
to go to college, to get those years of experience out of your community doing something else, so that you have choices
Yes.
to make in your life. And I think, in particularly for young African American you know, men, I think that's an important choice that they need to make. I like the fact that you talked about the fact that you had them to shadow, you know, the people that worked on the program. You know, Mr. Rivera is one of my favorite people. I was watching Swagger and, you know, and Kevin told me that they were recording it there, and you know, to be able to see him and to see even how well he's doing even at Villanova now, and you know, for him to come and be a part of the family. You guys have had some extraordinary young men that have come through your program. And so, are you still in communication with some of them? Do they reach back? Do they come back home? And when they do, how is that?
Amazing. So still, I follow all of them. And so immediately, I don't follow them while they're current students on social media, but the moment they graduate, then I follow them so I can keep up with them and then celebrate them. And so when they begin posting things that are happening in their lives, I can have access to it. And they'll let me know, hey, I'm in town. They'll come to the school. They'll talk to all of their peers. It's nothing. I think Dennis ended up in a video when we were preparing for our senior awards and end of the year awards. He was in town, and so we grabbed him and got him on camera. But I am so, like, since I've been teaching and so it's been over 15 years that I have made connections with students at John Marshall. And it has always been, you know, you gravitate to specific students always. I loved all of the students that I work with, but those students that I've been able to keep in contact with and hear about opportunities. One of my students just shot a music video. I'm so proud of her. And so those things really are, again, my why is that building those relationships and making those connections with students. It's just, it keeps me going, it keeps me excited. And so we love to get them back in the building. I have hired several of the alumni in the building. I love to do that. So we keep a running list of all the alumni in the building. I'm so excited to announce that one of our APs now is a former graduate of John Marshall, Camilla Battle. She is now an AP in the building.
Congratulations.
Year of the Woman. We're going to have an all-female admin team.
Come on now.
Come on.
Oh, watch out. Hey. Hey, TJ,
It is our year.
you could have watch out.
Yes.
We're going to see more challenges on social media now.
Absolutely.
Look, I saw you with the camouflage over there in front of Armstrong. I'm like, what's going on over here? I said, Principal Murray ain't playing. I love it.
Because I'm a competitor at heart.
Me too.
And so, regardless of what it is, whether it's we're competing over our academic status or on the sports arena, or if we're thinking about our theater programs, I want to know how is it that you're doing what you're doing, and how can I either replicate it or improve it? How can I bring those opportunities to my students? That's how we ended up in the competition with Armstrong. They had started working with the endowment project and had done a post where they were working with them and had gotten a certain amount of money, and I called the principal, how is it that is happening over at
Yes.
Armstrong and not happening at John Marshall.
Yes.
So it was because of that we began that relationship with the endowment project, and it has been a very, very positive opportunity for us to be able to raise some funds.
Wow. And I gotta go into this, I gotta give me a moment, Karen. The trip to Africa.
Yes.
Oh,
We got to talk about that.
Yeah.
I've never seen a Richmond Public Schools anything.
yeah.
How did y'all make that happen?
So
Let's talk about that.
oh God. So that year was the year that Dennis and Jason, that team, was going to the championship.
Okay.
And they got invited, 2023, they got invited to state capitol.
Okay.
And we were preparing them to go to the state capitol. And they were not going to go to the state capitol in sweats.
Oh,
Come on.
At all.
we gotta go
Yeah.
talk about that. That's a whole different subject.
So-
Them boys
We
be
gonna
coming
get
into
to
the
that.
game, be looking. I mean,
Yeah.
that blew me away. And
Yeah.
I know we could sidetrack.
Yeah.
But those guys, those young men coming into those state championship games with those suits on,
Yes.
and those bags, and those people be sitting here, people just be looking at just like,
Who are they?
who are they?
Yeah.
Like you expect them people think they coming in like they some thugs off the street or some sweatsuits. They coming in full-fledged suits. Oh,
So
man,
those are the conversations that we're having with students. If your goal is the MBA,
powerful.
you're going to walk and talk and do the job
Yes.
before you get the job.
Yeah.
So we're going to walk in that. So just trying to get them to the Capitol, and we were coming out of COVID, right? And so the kids lived in sweats.
Right.
And so they didn't have attire that represented John Marshall.
Right.
And so we had to go to Kohl's Causes, ask for donations, get khakis. We outfitted them.
Okay.
And so we were having a conversation with Justin Fairfax about that experience because he was still is a huge supporter
Yes.
of the
Lieutenant
program. The
Okay.
former lieutenant governor.
Okay.
He was a huge supporter of the program. And so we were having that conversation, and he was checking in to see, how the boys were doing and, what was next and all of that. And so we were telling him about that opportunity. And he said, well, you know what? We're going to take care of that. Never again.
What?
We will have to, find ways to make sure that they're outfitted. And we were leading into the state championship. So the plan and goal was to get them outfitted for the state championship. And he introduced us to Verandel Tucker. And Verandel Tucker is a part of the Tucker family who have traced their roots back to Angola, Africa. And they were one of the first families to come to the United States through the slave trade. And then the first family to return to Angola after they have traced their roots.
That's incredible.
Chills when he told me the story.
Yes.
Up my spine. And so we were on a Zoom call talking about that experience, and they were preparing to go back.
Yeah.
And so the family has been returning to Angola every year and taking a group with them. And immediately, all of us on that Zoom call was like, light bulb moment.
Right. Right.
We need to take some children
Yes.
Oh,
to
man.
Africa.
Yes.
And so it was through that conversation that the Africa trip was created. And so it started off with, we were just going to take the young men, and then the Lord blessed Justin's heart and said, okay, now we need to take the females too as well.
Yes.
And so we started, I held on to that for so long until we had everything laid out.
Yeah.
And the trip was just life-changing. To take 30 young men and women,
Yeah.
one who had never flown before,
I was going to
Yeah.
say that.
two had never gotten a passport,
Yeah.
to take them on a journey to Africa. First of all, they were even shocked that it was going to happen.
Yeah.
I had told that senior class, because I love traveling,
Yeah.
and I know what a passport, the opportunities that a passport
Absolutely.
does, right? So I told that senior class, I made the announcement at one of the awards, I'm going to get all of y'all passports. Everybody that want a passport, we're going to figure out how to make that happen. I didn't know what that looked like.
Yeah.
Just stepped out on faith.
Okay.
And lo and behold, not everybody, But we got lots of kids' passports
That's incredible.
that year through that trip.
Yeah.
And so when they touched down in Africa, it was as if kings and queens had returned back home.
Yes.
And I told them, this is where the story of slavery started. As kings and queens, we were
Yes.
minding our business.
Yes.
This is the beginning of the story, not the journey
Yeah.
that everybody wants to start with.
Yes.
Right.
But this.
Yeah.
And so we got there and we stepped off that plane. There were cameras everywhere because we had returned home.
Wow.
We were the first American team to play basketball on Angolan soil.
Wow.
The girls put in a good fight.
Yes.
The boys won the game.
They showed
What
out.
was crazy for the boys' game was every quarter in that game, they had a new opponent.
Wow.
They changed teams
Wow.
every single quarter.
Wow.
And they won every
Wow.
single quarter.
Wow. That is
So when we talk about that year,
Yeah.
we were the number one high school basketball team in the nation.
Yes.
sure was.
I changed it that year to the world.
Yes.
Because
Come on.
we went to another
I
country
know that's right.
and played any
Yes.
opponent
Yes.
and we came home with the victory.
Yeah.
So that was that team and that experience was amazing.
Yeah.
I knew returning home, I had to continue to give that opportunity to our students.
Yeah.
And so then this year, I won the REB Distinguished Leadership
I was going to
Award.
mention that.
Congratulations.
Thank you. $20,000
Yeah,
to do work in the building. Immediately when I was nominated and became a finalist, it's a process that you go through. And so you have to offer up a project. Like, what do you want to do with the funds that they give you?
Okay.
Hands down, I want to take another group of kids
Yep,
to
I saw
Africa.
that.
So June, we took another group
Yes.
of students. And this time we focused on students who were either interested in African American studies
Okay.
or interested in being an educator.
Yes.
So we went through an application process.
Yeah.
And thanks to that REB award, we were able to take 4 students and myself over to Africa.
That's amazing.
When I tell you, those babies impressed the adults that were around them those 8
Yeah.
days. They said, we need to do this now every year.
Yeah.
We want a student-focused trip
Yes.
to Africa.
Yes.
So now I've been asked to support every year a student-focused trip to Africa. I said, God, what are you doing?
This is powerful.
So this year, we're going to take a music group. We're going to take a small ensemble of students. And I said to the family, we're going to open this to all of Richmond Public Schools.
Yeah.
We're going to hand select and find the best musicians that we have in Richmond Public Schools across all of the high schools.
Wow.
That application process is going to be intensive.
Yeah.
Auditions, but we're going to take an ensemble and they're going to play with the youth ensemble in Angola while over there.
Do you see why I love her?
And this, I'm glad 'cause we knew none of this.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
you getting this fresh off.
I'm-
Nobody knows it.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm man, this is, man, I got tears because, like I said, being a product, this is something that
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's just
Yes. Yes.
and
And I think one of the most
Wow.
powerful things you can ever give children
Wow.
are experiences.
Yes. Experiences.
You
and
know,
exposure.
expose them
Yes.
to different cultures, different ways of being. You know, when you look at what happened with the Olympics and how everybody was so upset and Christians were saying that they were imitating the Last Supper, they were not. But, you know, France has a whole different culture than
Yes.
we do.
Yes.
Right.
And so, you know, teaching children how to understand different cultures, you know, I think is very important that they understand that people who look like you, but they live differently from you.
Yes.
But they are you at the same time, you know. And so, you know, looking at all of the stuff that was going on over the weekend about the Olympics, I said to myself, this is why education is important.
yes,
This is why when we study world history, we have to study it fully. This is why critical race theory is so important to children, so that they understand that there are other nations, other communities, other mannerisms, other cultures, other traditions, and that all of us, although our skin is dark, we are not all the same.
Right.
We have all had different experiences.
That's right.
And so for them to go and meet people who do not have the generational and historical trauma of chattel slavery is important.
That's right.
For them to see that perspective and to see how they live, how they exist. But one of the most powerful things that always happens whenever African Americans go to Africa is the contingency of people that say, welcome home.
Yes.
I think having that experience does something to your soul, and it heals places that you don't even know need to be healed.
Wow.
And those young people had access to kings,
Yes.
queens.
That they probably would never ever
Never,
experience.
never. Some people in Angola didn't have access to.
Yeah.
They sat in front of ministers. They call those the persons like Secretary of State and all that stuff. And for our government, they use the term ministers. They
Yeah.
had meetings with the ministers in Angola, a country. They can't have a conversation oftentimes with the mayor of their city.
Wow.
But they were able to walk and sit in offices and sit among the wisdom
Yeah.
of people who were making decisions for a country.
That's
Yeah.
right. Wow, that's powerful.
It was an amazing experience.
Yeah.
Amazing experience.
I'm sitting here just in awe at this point because as many times as I've watched you, I've heard people sing your praises. I have even much more admiration and respect for you, because not only are you doing the necessary work, but also you are a trailblazer
That's
as well. And so that's the reason why I said I think she's a gold standard, that I think principals need to hear her formula, how she thinks, how she creates and how she develops, such an incredible atmosphere, even beyond sports, And so, I think that what you're doing is really what public education is supposed to do. And so, man, I'm just kind of stuck because I'm really thinking about you're changing. Because they say when a change happens in you, it affects your family for 4 generations. So you're affecting 4 generations of those children's families. You're giving them, a look on the other side of the fence so they can see, what is out there. And also you're giving them vehicles and access to success even outside of sports. Historically in our communities, we have needed sports, and we still do, because that is a way for you to go to college, because you're in a single family home, your mom can't afford, that. But to be able to expose other children as well,
Yeah.
and to see that same need in them, I think is so admirable.
Yeah.
And so, again, I told you I was going to try not to fan out when I met you.
hey.
But I'm sitting here like Lee, holding back tears.
Like, I am a product of a public school system.
Right.
Yeah.
I would not want to do this work anywhere else.
Yeah.
I am sure I could go to a charter system.
Yeah.
I could go to a private system. Like, if I ever hit the lotto, my dream is to build a boarding school
Yes.
for African American students.
Yes.
But until that happens,
Yeah.
I got to figure out how to do that right in a public school setting, where regardless of who their parents are,
Yes.
my parents know when they walk through the doors of 4225 Old Brook Road, they mine.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make the best decision. I'm going to always protect them. I'm going to love them like you love them. And I know that you're giving me your best. My goal is to tweak it, to polish it up,
Yeah.
and present it back to you in 4 years.
Amen.
And know that I'm always going to be here So after the 4 years, we work with students beyond, because getting them to college,
Yes.
we can get that
We
done.
can get them there.
But keeping them there now,
That's the main thing.
that is now the struggle.
Yeah.
When they have never had to do anything on their own, make decisions on their own, navigate this world on their own.
Yes.
We do so much and give so much, and I appreciate it, but sometimes it creates a crutch.
Yes.
And
It
the
does.
moment they leave us,
Yeah.
they struggle.
The struggle.
So now the goal is, how do we support and make sure that they are ready for that college experience, that work field experience,
Yeah.
that military experience, to see it through to the end. Because we don't want to create a world of quitters.
Yeah.
And then every time you look up, they're changing jobs or changing professions or leaving the school or leaving. That we need to work on. That's our next.
And you know, that just confirms an idea that I had, because I said what I was going to do with the kids. I normally take all the seniors to dinner and kind of talk to them individually before they go off to school. And so, but my son was home and he took classes over the summer, and I'm looking at the system that they're working in. And I told my son, I said, I said, first of all, we had to go to the library.
That's right.
We had to pull up microfiche.
Right.
Yep.
And you know, the encyclopedia man would
Yes.
come, and you was somebody. If you had,
People don't
if
know
you
about
had an
encyclopedia.
encyclopedia, your family was doing
We was
something.
doing something.
Absolutely.
We had encyclopedias in the closet. Some you might have A, B, C, D. You
Yes.
might have had G.
Right.
Yes.
But then you might end up the LP. Oh man, I gotta go. I ain't got L. I gotta go to the
Yeah.
library.
Right.
But what
Yeah, I know it was a
what I
struggle.
want to do is teach them the shortcuts, the easy things. You know, how to use the college system. A lot of them are on Canva. You know, and so how to teach them how to use that system successfully. How to do discussion questions and
Yes.
find references for them.
Yes.
So you know, I said today that I was going to send them a message saying, "Hey, we need a quick Zoom. I want to go over some of these
Right.
things with you to kind of help you be prepared." And also to tell them, expect to be in a classroom of 400, 500 students, especially if you're going to a Division I college.
That's right.
You know, and so because I have seen students that get lost in those systems, and you know they don't always know to ask. Not every program has the kind of resources that they have in high school.
That's right.
A lot of them promise big but deliver very little.
Very little.
And so, you know, I want to prepare them, you know,
Those
for
soft skills.
yeah, yeah,
That oftentimes get lost in this need to always focus on the academics,
Yes.
Right.
accreditation. And,
Yeah.
you know, we are losing those soft skills. When we were in school, you had etiquette classes and you had
That's right.
classes and programs
Sure did.
that taught you all of that.
Yeah.
We get so lost in all of this standardized testing and preparing and graduation rates and all of that. And I keep saying, if we take care of the heart,
yes.
all of that other stuff
Yeah.
will come.
And you know, you mentioned the pandemic. And one of the courses that I'm taking now is to become a trauma-informed coach. And they said something very interesting in my class 2 weeks ago. They said that children having to wear masks for 2 years, how it changed their ability, it changed the way they use their discernment. They have trust issues because you don't know who's back behind the mask, and you know that was something that I hadn't even thought about. But when they said it, I said, you know what, that makes sense. And so, in your opinion, tell me some of the ways you think that children have changed because of the pandemic. I know I work, I do mind coaching, so I help kids, you know, develop the mindset, get over anxiety, teach them breathing exercises and things like that. And you know, I do it for a track team at Colonial Forge High School. I did it for Freedom Now. I'm doing it at Hayfield. And so some of the anxiety that our children came out of the pandemic with is legitimate. And I don't know that we have a full answer to it, but I just want to know what you've seen and how you're working to kind of help kids overcome that.
You're so right. all of what we see and use in our facial expressions help navigate conversations. And so to be in the pandemic and 2 years of the face mask or on the computer screens, at such a formative time when students are learning conversations, because by the time they get to high school, everything that they have been taught academically, they have. Like, we're just helping them now navigate and how to be citizens in life. And so for those years not to be able to do that, it has put them in shells. They want to put hoodies on in 100-degree weather.
Oh my God.
All day long because it's a comfort now for them. And I still have some students who still walk around and want the mask on. It was such a eerie time when we finally came back in the building. It was so quiet throughout the day, and students shied away from having conversations with each other. They would much rather hide in hallways, nooks, and crannies than sit in a gym, even though they had their phone. So in the morning time, we opened the gym up for kids to come and sit and gather, right? And so we would find incidences where students wanted to stand in the hallways around corners, still on their phone the entire time, but didn't want to be in a crowd of people. We found it at games where you had a #1 basketball team in the nation. Very few of our kids came to the game.
Wow.
They were leaving the building in droves. The moment the bell rang, they didn't want to get connected, do anything. We're slowly getting them back. I'm excited about this graduating class that we're getting ready to graduate 2025 because that's going to be the first class of kids who had a full set of classes in the building. And so we're slowly getting them back acclimated to being amongst their peers and being able to celebrate and have conversations. We're working on what those conversations, we had to give sentence starters to kids to help them navigate even their academic conversations in classes. So understanding and recognizing what the issue was, then trying to figure out, okay, how do we get them socialized again? How do we create experiences and opportunities where they are forced to have conversations and be in the room with each other? It was a crazy, crazy time. I'm excited that we're kind of coming out of it. But you see the anxiety.
You do.
I mean, my first year, the number of kids who were having anxiety attacks were through the roof. And I didn't know myself how to navigate it. And so I had to call on resources like we need some clinical psychologists in the building full time. So we ended up getting support, and Child Savers came around, and we had those supports, RBHA in the building and CIS. But I had to call. I need some help. Because I don't know how to navigate with the anxieties and all the depression that kids are bringing to the table. I am not going to call a parent. We are not going to have that conversation. Not on my watch. We're going to figure out how to get some help. And so then you got to navigate with the parents. Because oftentimes it can be intrusive because now you are saying, I want to get some help to your baby. But the parent has to be educated as well of what that helps look like and know that it's all in love and we want to provide supports. We're not trying to get in your business. I could care less about what is happening specifically in your home. I just want to be able to provide. So the parents' education as well as navigating and understanding what the kids were struggling with was all of how we began to rebuild and bring students back into the fold again. My goal was to make high school as fun as it was for me, and the joy that we had. You know, we would be walking to school talking about, and Martin came out. We couldn't get to school, couldn't wait to get to school and talk about the episode of Martin. What are they talking about? What are they watching on TV? It's nothing but those cell phones and the mess that they are putting in their systems through social media. That's all they have.
TikTok all day
right.
long.
And so, okay, we're going to use TikTok. We're going to put some joy on TikTok. We're going to figure out how. So if I got to learn the dances, I'm learning the TikTok dances. We're going to figure out, if we're walking through the building and we see a talent, a kid, come here, let's pull it aside and let's figure out how we hone in on that. Because that can turn into a profession. Living wage profession. So I in tune helping my staff to be in tune, watch everything. And every time you see it, if you see something, say something, right? All of those conversations that are helping bringing us out of that pandemic.
Yeah, I think it's important. I think that we have to approach kids very differently now. And I think that as adults, I think it's our responsibility to do the understanding and get the education. Um, and so you're right. Navigating sometimes with parents can be one of the most difficult, components. I know that athletes, they use a lot of their training and everything to kind of work off some of that anxiety. But do you all also, how do you also support your athletes, like when they're having trouble at home, when they're struggling in school? What are some of the things that you have incorporated to help those athletes to be successful?
Making sure that they have a safe place in the building. One person, two persons, three persons in the building that they know if there is an issue, I can trust and go to this one person. I tell my coaches, I need to know everything, but nobody else needs to know everything.
That's good.
Right? And so making sure that we are building those trust relationships. I don't ever want something to surprise me or a parent show up at my door and I not know.
Yeah.
So keeping my lines of communications open with my coaches, it could be in the middle of the night. Just make sure I know, so then we can make sure we can put things in place. But if there is something that a kid is dealing with and they only trust you, then just tell me, Murray, I got it. Understand that this is what is happening with this kid. Make sure that the kid is safe and that there are no illegal things that are happening. If you got it, I trust you to have it. Just make sure that you keep me informed. So if somebody shows up on my doorstep, I know that I can say, we are aware of the situation, we are planning and preparing for, and we know how to put things in place.
Yeah, I think that's important. And you talked about social media a lot and being present for the kids on there. I think me and Lee both need to. We could probably take some lessons from you. I know I
she be on
could.
there. She be on there doing her thing. I'm still shy, so.
But it's a team.
Right.
It is a team. When I got there, I found a young person who was on social media that was on staff.
See, there you
And I
go.
said, okay, here, come on, show me this, teach me this, run this page. And then the conversation with the entire school was, once the school posts, then you post.
Yeah.
So not only are we getting the information out there from the school page, but every coach, teacher that has a page, all we're doing is doubling up on putting the
That's
information out there.
Yeah.
It's a very simple formula. Once the school posts it,
Yeah, you
you
post.
post it.
Yeah, I think that's ingenious, and I think that's what we'll probably do too. Because I think this year's the first year where we're actually going to have students that will be a part of our media team. We had to bring someone in before, and the former school where we were, they literally tried to kick the press out. While we scored more points than any high school in the nation. We're doing all these phenomenal things. We had our own hashtag Freedom by 40. We did these episodes,
Which was great.
and they we had an AD that just wasn't supportive of the children or the vision that we had, for the program. So when the opportunity came for us to go, it was a great opportunity. And we have a great administrator, a great athletic director in Fritz, and he's very supportive. So for say somebody like me, how do you welcome and how do you incorporate people that are, say, volunteers who want to come in and help and add something to your program? How do you guys do that? How do you feel about that? What kinds of supports do you add outside of what's in the school to be able to support your athletes?
Right. Yeah, and so volunteers can be tricky.
Okay.
Because you have to really walk that line of making sure that the goals that they come to the door and to the table with match the goals and the vision of the school.
Yes.
Because everybody, or not, I shouldn't say everybody, but not everybody comes to the table with the desire of what it's best for children, but they come with their own intention.
Yes.
And so I'm big on spirit and heart and feeling people out. So those conversations, those initial conversations that I'm having with partners that want to come in the building,
Yeah.
I can tell immediately, are you for my children, or is this an opportunity for you?
Yes.
Exactly.
So being open,
good.
we'll bring everybody to the table, but I think you cannot be afraid to say no. No, thank you. And having the discernment
Yeah.
to make sure that the partners that are coming to the table are coming for the best interests of children.
Yeah.
And so every partner that comes has to go through a screening process that all districts have. But that screening process, and then we have training that we provide for our partners, and then keeping those lines of communication open.
Yeah.
And making sure, so the information that I put out to staff, the partners get that information too. So we treat them as part of our staff community,
good.
and so that everybody's informed,
Yeah.
because they need to know when's a good time to come in the building. You know, I oftentimes get emails about everybody wanting to use our kids for opportunities.
Yeah.
I have this survey, or
Yeah.
we have this program, and you know, every program is not a good fit
Right.
for what we're doing. So making sure that we're screening all of that to make sure that it's the best fit for our vision and for our children.
That's good. Because I think you're absolutely right. A lot of times people come with their own agenda. And you know, in the sports arena now with NIL money, with the kids be able to getting NIL money and things of that nature, sometimes that can be some difficult water to navigate through. So are you experiencing some of that? And are you guys educating children on what that process is?
And so we are training our students on what that looks like and how to do it safely, so that they're not getting caught up in you know, signing things that they shouldn't sign, making sure that they understand that they're reading what they're signing up for, because there are a lot of predators out there that will prey on students not understanding the process. So we go through training. Our coaches bring in speakers, former students who have been through the process. Dennis Parker Jr. was the last student that we brought in to have conversations, because he has had some amazing success with it. And we have some students who are currently students that are working through that. But again, it's about that education and making sure that we're supporting them and helping them understand what that looks like. We have to be educated on it. It was a brand new world for me.
Yes.
Understanding and then being fair, right? Because, you know, as you look at that process and what one family has an opportunity to do that other families may not have opportunities to do, as the leader and love of all of them, I have to make sure that I'm being fair across the board, you know, for everybody. And so the lines of communication are important, and making sure that we're educating ourselves and educating our families is always important.
And so how do you help the kids to navigate that balance between academics and sports?
So first they're students, then they're athletes. That is the first conversation.
Yeah.
Like, understand that we are excited about the success that you're having on any sports field, court, track, but your first goal is to be a successful student and a leader in the building.
Yeah.
And so never should I have to have conversations with the athletes in the building, because you go out and represent John Marshall.
That's right.
So the moment you put that uniform on,
That's right.
you are no longer standing as yourself, but a representative of the school. And we have to make sure that we represent always in our best light. And so having those conversations with them about the student portion of it first, that is probably the toughest conversations with kids to get through, right? Because all they see is the end, the outcome. You know, I want to do this, I want to D1 school, and I want to be in the NFL, or the outcome. And then so having those real conversations too about the percentage of folks that actually make it to that level.
Right.
Yes.
So before you get there, Let's get everything, don't leave a crumb on the table.
Yeah.
Let's get everything we can about the experiences we have in high school. Let's get everything we can about experience about post-secondary, college. Even if it's a 2-year,
Yeah.
JUCO.
Yeah.
Let's get every experience first
Yes.
before we get to that experience. So as freshmen, understand your freshman year is your most important year in high school.
Yes.
Man.
Yes.
Because it's going to set the tone.
Yeah.
You're going to look back and wish, shoulda, coulda. When we're looking at GPAs, when it's now time to have those conversations, junior year, senior year, and folks really start looking. Because the offers are going to come. But then what are we able to present back to them
Absolutely.
to say we are ready for the experience?
Absolutely.
When your preparation meets up with an opportunity, that's when the blessing comes.
Yeah.
And we got to be ready for it. We got to always be ready. So I tell them, stay ready so you don't have to get ready
That's
Yeah.
right. There you go.
when the opportunity comes.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of getting ready, how did the opportunity for Swagger come about?
Relationships.
Okay.
Relationships. So when they came in town and knew that they had to use or wanted to use schools, they reached out to I can't think of the name. The community sports programs. Parks and Recs.
Parks and Recs,
They reached
okay.
out to Parks and Recs. And so because I had a relationship with a young lady who is running Parks and Recs,
Wow.
she immediately called and said, I have an opportunity for you. Relationships. That is how we ended up with Swagger.
And I heard when Jason got in the building, them boys could ball so much. He said, "Mama, I need to play here."
He came.
Yes.
He came.
See, that's the stuff people don't want to talk about.
And that's the opportunity of just opening up the gym.
Yeah.
Right.
So that in between sets, they could play around and ball. And he got connected with some of the young men on our team. He told his mom,
Yeah.
okay, this is where I want to finish my high school career, because he had never had a true high school experience.
Yeah.
Wow.
So to be able to give him his senior year of
Yeah.
prom and being in
Yeah.
a school, sitting in classes, and being involved in a community.
Yeah.
Oh, it did my heart good. I told
Yeah.
his mom, thank you so very much
Yeah.
for entrusting me with that experience. So I didn't know who he was from a can of paint.
Yeah,
At all.
I didn't either
It was-
until I saw the movie.
Right, and an introduction came through him I want to stay here and have my senior year.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. It
Yeah.
was a beautiful opportunity. And then it just was magic watching him and Dennis lead that team.
Yeah.
It was a magical year.
Nobody was
Magical
beating
year.
that team.
Yeah.
Nobody was beating that team. Nobody.
And so,
Nobody.
you know, when you have a parent who makes the destination decision of where they want to send their child to be educated,
Yeah.
I consider it an honor.
Amen.
Because it's about the education. Any parent that walks there and wants to come to me and only talk about sports, we end the conversation.
Yeah.
Let me talk about the academic activity and academic opportunity that we have here 1st. And if you want that, those are the conversations that I want to have.
Yeah.
The sport is the cherry on the top.
Yes.
But let's talk about what we're doing academically.
Yes.
Let me take you through the school and let me meet you, have you meet some of our facilitators of learning,
Yeah.
because I don't call them teachers. They are facilitators of learning.
Yes.
So let me help you and let me let you meet some of our facilitators. Let's look at the building. Let's
Yeah.
make sure it's a right fit
Yeah.
for you and your family
Yeah.
before you make a decision on that court.
Yeah.
Because that decision on that court will come. You can go to plenty of courts
Yeah.
in this country
Yes.
for that decision.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the academics first.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
he went to Vanderbilt and committed to Vanderbilt University on the top academic. That's like the Stanford
Absolutely.
of
Yes, it's like almost an Ivy League
Absolutely.
school.
So I'm like, wow, he got into there. I'm like, that young man, again, we don't know anything but the athletic side. So the fact that he was able to go there, for his freshman year and to play.
Yes.
And
Yes.
to not
Yeah.
go there, but to actually play. He's
Yeah.
good.
When I look at my top 10 for this graduating class of 2024, 6 of the top 10 were young men.
Wow.
And of those 6,
Wow.
yes, 5 were athletes.
Yes.
The academics is what is going to make the
Y'all hear
difference.
that? So don't be trying to put John Marshall in some stuff, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But I think that's important because when you have a winning program, many times they think that you cheated.
Right.
Yeah.
They think that the kids don't have the academic ability. You know, they think that the parents, you know, aren't the ones that are making the decision.
Right.
And so I think what you're saying is very important. That the narrative is not what people think. That there are parents who are making these decisions. But more importantly, you know, the children have the academics to do what they're doing.
Right.
You know, there's a standard for Division 1, Division 2, you know, all of those things, and these kids are meeting it, and they're meeting it well. Like, what do you know, like, what the average GPA is for the athletes there, or you know, how are they doing academically?
Yeah, so BHL has a rule that they need to have a 2.0, but Richmond Public Schools rules is a 2.5.
Okay.
So no kid in our building can play without that 2.5.
Good.
And so our average GPA of our athletes probably is around 3.2, because that standard of 2.5 is above what even VHSL
Yeah.
offers as a standard.
Yeah.
And again, when I talk about the top tier, top 10% of our classes, majority of those students are our student athletes.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's wonderful, and I think it's true. You know, athletes do tend to do better because of the stricter schedule,
Right.
because of the pace. You know, all of those things. They don't have as many distractions. We always tell our kids, you can't be a street kid and an athlete. You have
Right.
to choose.
Right.
You
Right.
know which one you're going to be because you can't do both.
Our largest population of academic success are our musicians. Our band kids
Right. So you talk-
are superior, far beyond. Again, we were having our end of year awards. We call them the JMEs. And so at the JMEs this past spring, we were announcing the top 10 in all of our classes.
Okay.
And sitting in the pit of the auditorium was our band who performed during the event. And every class where they talked about the top 10% of the class, the band kids were popping up, popping up, popping up. And so that speaks to the discipline
Yeah.
of programming, especially extracurricular programming.
Yeah.
The other large group of kids who have shown academic success, our theater program was
Yeah.
growing. And so
Yeah.
again, when kids get involved,
Yeah.
it goes back to that why.
Yeah.
Why am I coming to school? Why am I here? What is my purpose? When kids are involved and understand their why, academically they're soar. If we can take care of their heart and the why, we can do anything.
So if there's a principal out there that's watching you
right. I
that
was going-
wants to know how to support the kids, wants to build a winning program, wants to see children succeed, what are some of the building blocks that you would give them to having a program that's as successful as yours?
I would say communication. Start with that, making sure that you're communicating with all stakeholders. And then communicating in a way that it may seem over the top for some people, but you have to reach everybody where they are.
I like that.
So I believe in it should be heard, it should be read, it should be seen. So we're going to announce it verbally, whether it be on our own opening announcements, we're going to put it in some type of newsletter, and we're going to put it on social media.
Yeah.
So videos, whatever it takes, making sure that open lines of communication are there. Understand that your building is the hub of the community. Welcome that, embrace that, and know sometimes there are opportunities where you have to say no.
Yeah.
But do that in a loving way where people understand that it's because of the best interest of our students that this opportunity right now doesn't fit for us.
Yeah.
And keep those lines of communication always open, right? So communication, the community is the school is the hub of the community, and then entrusting your people to do the job that you have put forth in front of them.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to come to work and feel like somebody's over them that doesn't trust them to be the professionals that they're being paid to be and do the work that they are being paid to do.
Yeah.
So trust that, and always hold people accountable. Inspect what you expect, but trust
That's good.
and understand that you have put them in a position let them do their job.
Yeah.
Help grow them into the leaders that you need them to be. Because I don't need to park in the principal spot for anybody to know I'm the principal.
That's right.
Yeah.
But everybody in the building should hold some type of leadership capacity
Yeah.
so that we're all saying the same thing,
Yeah.
doing the same thing, doing the same dance. So we're a united front. But I'm entrusting you to handle the business that you need to handle. So in turn, I can handle everybody's
Yeah.
business. And then I can be the shield for when it comes. Because the naysayers coming.
Yes.
Come right.
But I'm here.
Yes.
Know that I got your back. And anytime I come to have a conversation, it's not I'm coming to get you. No, I got you
Yeah.
in any situation.
And that's powerful because
Yeah.
now you're just bringing back memories for me when I graduated from Kennedy, and Mr. Pitts was my principal, and I loved Mr. Pitts. I was struggling because I knew that the administrators were, different that he had that was in place. But Mr. Pitts just always had an open door policy. And today, and I even get emotional, but I'm emotional about it now, but I thank him for what he did. So when I look at you and hear the things that you're saying, Mr. Pitts were doing the same thing. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be sitting here today because he made some opportunities and got me through some doors that I didn't think I was going to be able to do that. So
Yeah.
when I hear you, I know you truly meant what you say. So for me, I'm like I said, getting emotional, but it just brings back because you don't have the support.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for me, and I know I told my story sometime about that, but I know if it wasn't for him and the things that he did for me and the things that he sacrificed, I wouldn't be here. So we need more principals like
Yeah.
Yeah.
This year I was honored to be named the Principal of the Year for the district. And when I walked into the event where they were hosting and made the announcement, I could see students that I had taught who are now educators in the
Yes.
district.
Right.
I could see my colleagues that I love so very much. We've done this work together.
Yeah.
I could see in the room mentors of mine, my mentors, who I worked so very hard to make proud.
Yeah.
I could see former Girl Scouts.
Yeah.
We were in Girl Scouts together.
Yeah.
My church members.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, this is my community.
Yeah.
I am not who I am without all of those people in
Yeah.
that building.
Yeah.
So, like, that award that I received, not only did it honor my parents, who I love so dearly,
Yeah.
who we lost in 2020 in 8 months, but not only do I get to honor them, I get to honor all the people who have poured into me.
Yeah.
And that's why I do this work. I would not want to do this anywhere else.
It shows.
Anywhere
Yeah,
else.
it really does.
It shows. People, something like you said earlier, people have their own agenda and they say things,
Yeah.
but you do what you say that you do.
Yeah.
And that is just so important because you're giving a lot of kids who may not have hope, who don't talk, who don't communicate, you give them a sense of, how can I say it, a comfort,
Yeah.
that I can entrust and confidence that what I'm telling you, and I need to, I need some help to try to go forward.
Yeah. And in our community, we have other mothers. And so there are women like you who, even though that child has a mother, there is that other mother that has good mom energy where children just believe that you want what is best for them. And so I think it's incredible. I think it's vital, especially now. I know when I decided that I was going to change gears from being a teen mom to being, a mindset coach, and a performance coach, that a friend of mine, I talked to my therapist about it, and she said, you have great mom energy. So I think you'll be good for the kids. And so I walked into that destined place, not realizing that I would find so much joy, a sense of accomplishment. I'm so proud. I was talking to Amari Hatcher, who's at Syracuse University. He's on a jet ski in a lake on FaceTime. Hey, mama. And I said to him, I'm looking for this year to be your year.
Yeah.
This is the same kid that when we were marching towards a championship he got into some trouble in school. He wasn't there. I walked up to the top of the field. I grabbed him by his jacket. I swung him around. I said, "This is on you.
Yes.
How are you going to redeem
Right.
yourself? This is on you."
Yeah.
And to see that kid turn around, get his grades together, is the man. And this is his year.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of joys that
Yes.
make doing what we do
Yes.
so special. And I have Josh Fuga, who he had promised me his freshman year that he would give me a jersey. Christmas, I'm sitting at home, not feeling well. He says, "Mom, I'm coming over. I got something for you." Never knowing that he was giving me his bowl jersey.
Wow.
So the things that you do are so important. And for me, it was a lady named Miss Anderson, my 7th grade teacher, who said to me, "Don't you know how special you are?" And it changed my life. And I hear that voice every time I reach a milestone, every time it's time to do something different, when my call to preach, everything, I could hear Miss Anderson's voice. And so I just want to thank you for not only who you are, but your why, and the fact that you do it so effortlessly. I'm just proud to know you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I told you we gonna have a fan bowl. We tried to do that, but I told them we had to, and we talked about this in the spring, right?
Yeah.
When you said that, and the way her passion came up when she mentioned you, and that's why I played that clip. I was like, I'm putting this clip out.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
And I wanted you to feel what she was saying.
I felt it. I was honored. I said, "This is so." So when you talk about people talking about you in rooms that you never know.
Yeah.
My family and I were sitting yesterday talking about the next generation, and one of the things we always have been taught and want to pass on is integrity.
Yeah.
When you do what you do, in spite of anybody else seeing it, that was the honor.
Yeah.
When you said what you said, that was, "Mama and Daddy, I'm making you proud in this moment right here."
Yeah.
Caught you off guard.
Oh my God. Oh, did it. But it was better than any award
Amen.
that anybody could
Yeah.
ever present to me.
Yeah.
Because my parents were so proud of who we were.
Yeah.
My dad would boast and sit and talk about his children.
Yeah.
And so to lose that,
Yeah.
that was just a reminder that Mama and Daddy,
Yes.
I'm proud of you.
Yes.
And you are doing what God has set forth for you.
Yes.
And the passion, and you know your purpose, Monica.
Yeah.
Keep doing that.
Yeah.
I wasn't blessed to have and birth children of my own.
Yeah.
And so to be able to love generations of children, I will ever be grateful for every opportunity.
Yeah.
We on here
fight.
praying, y'all. We on here.
I'm going to fight for them
Yes.
until I die.
Yeah.
Until I die.
Yeah.
I will dream for them, dream big. And whatever they need, I tell them, you tell me what you're dreaming.
Yes.
And Mama Murray going to figure out how to make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever it takes.
Well, I hope that one of your dreams is also to train teachers, because I think that, like I said, you're the gold standard, and I think people need to understand your why, to help them connect to theirs, because I think, especially in our community, but really everywhere, because the truth is we are everywhere.
Yes.
We're in a struggling community, we're in a middle class community,
Yeah.
we're wealthy communities, and we still need to see images of ourselves. We still need to see love looking back at us.
Yes.
We still need to see that this person believes in us, even when we don't believe in ourselves. And I know that with the changes in school, that it can be difficult with children. A lot more fighting, a lot more drug use. Vapes are really big with kids.
Right.
So to have somebody who is there and in your corner and also has the skill set to help you, I think we need more of that. So one of my prayers for you is that you also either develop a business or you are called into a place where you can train teachers, because your approach is, like I said, it's the gold standard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, we must protect Principal Murray.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
my LeBron voice.
Yes. Protect her at all
When
costs.
LeBron said protect Asia Wilson, protect Don Stanley.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
not in a negative way, but I just knew what he meant. So it just felt good. Saying
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So,
And in the place that I'm in, the seat that I sit in, I have that opportunity. You know, the teachers that I have in my building, we're always working on
Yeah.
developing and getting better. And then we celebrated this summer, as bittersweet as it was, both of my APs were promoted to principals.
Yes.
Wow.
And so they're principals in the district.
Yeah.
And so to see the fruits of the work that you're doing
Yes.
come to fruition.
Yeah.
Plant that
And so
seed.
now we have a new admin team coming in. So we'll start the work again, because I know I'm not going to be there forever. And so I want to leave the legacy and
Yeah.
prepare for the moment that I step away.
Yeah.
I want to see the success. It should not stop, because Monica's not sitting in the seat.
Absolutely.
Right.
Cannot stop. But the next person has to then take the torch and take it even and make it better.
Yeah.
What I'm gonna do is I'm going to get with the professor. What is his name? Doc Brown. That was in what's that movie called? The Michael J. Fox movie, Back to the Future. I'm gonna build me a DeLorean.
That's one of my favorite movies.
I'm going back, and I'm going to go back to what was it, 1985. When I was at Henderson Middle School. I'm a product of Henderson Middle.
Yes.
And that way I'm gonna fix that transcript so I can say, you know what, I'm gonna have to figure something out. But mom and dad, y'all gonna have to kind of like conceive me at different times so I can go to John Marshall, right? So I can be under the stewardship of Principal Murray. You know, I'm just in awe. I mean,
It is so
this
funny
big.
that you say that. I get comments on Facebook all the time. Why weren't you the principal when I was in school?
See, that's what
I
I'm
want to
saying.
go back to school.
I'm telling you, that's support. That's
Yeah.
support, because I had Dr. Braxton when she was
Yes.
at Henderson, so you know she was always good. People thought she was very stern, but I had no problem, you know, with that. And I guess that's why I get along with female leadership. You know, even my basketball mentor, Coach Gene Atkins, who just passed away, you know, meant everything to me. And then, you know, in church, you know, I'm at 31st Street Baptist Church, and I don't know if you remember Stephanie Crew, her
Stephanie Crew
mom.
and I went to school together.
Yeah, she's a doctor now.
Yes.
So her mom, you know, was she ain't play.
Best lasagna I have ever
Hey,
had.
see what I'm saying?
Was Miss
See,
Crew's
Miss Crew,
lasagna.
let me tell you something. Hey, Miss Crew was a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
She didn't play, you know. So when we was at, you know, we had youth fellowship on Thursdays at church, and she used to always, she said, it's just something about you. So I could keep you in line. So I used to always get in trouble because I had a crush on her, oldest daughter. So I was just trying to she used to always take me around, but you need that female, that feminine energy to say, hey, you know, look, you know, because we're aggressive, and a lot of times, you know, it's hard for women to, you know, get a stranglehold of us men.
Yeah.
Because, you know, look at it. I didn't want to go to my granddaddy, because I knew that going to my granddaddy,
Yeah.
I already knew what was going to happen.
Right.
So I tried to avoid that. But Miss
Right.
Cruz, she kept me in line. So
Yeah.
again, you need people like that in the community.
Yeah.
You know, to just say, hey, you know, that love.
Yeah.
And that's what we
People
need.
that believe in you.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Yes.
we need that. So the fact that you're doing that, and it's like I'm getting to know who you are now. I knew who you are just by watching you. We met last year, and Coach 3, we still waiting on you. You know, I gotta get with Principal Murray so she can make sure to put my daddy's name up on the wall. Your daddy's name been up on the wall for a little while now.
Yes.
Waiting on you, right? He said, because I want to do it here. Well, I'm waiting on you. You ain't got there. But that experience just needing you for that moment and stuff like that. So now we're here. And I'm just thankful.
Yeah.
But this lady was the driving force behind that. And I got to give her the credit for that.
Absolutely.
You know, for you being here today. Because, again, this was, I don't know, we was having church. You know, we was having community meetings. We was having it all in one. And y'all made me feel so comfortable. Like I said, I wanted to get up and just go. I just want to be a part of it. But I just thought that this was beautiful.
It was.
This podcast actually is going to come out a lot sooner than I anticipated. So some of y'all gonna kind of get kicked back. Don't worry about y'all's coming out, but this about to get bumped up, okay? About the fact, and I think I'm going to put this out around the first week of school.
Okay. That'll be
So
awesome.
we can see you and
Yeah.
just kids act that. But this lady right here, me and her, we've been joined at the hip. We go to the stores about this Holland Springs freedom thing.
Yeah.
But I said, man, I like her.
I forgot to
really
wear
like
my
her.
ring today.
Oh yeah, see, don't come in here with that.
Right. I was
I'd have banned
nice.
you.
Right.
I'd have banned
See,
you.
and I didn't put mine on. Right.
Look. See, y'all really be showing up. I ain't got
Look,
no
next
ring
time
to
we
show.
coming with
Absolutely.
them.
No, y'all ain't coming there. I'm about to bring her and me and somebody from Hot Springs up here. Somebody, because I ain't got no ring to show. So my son got a state championship ring, but he won't let me wear his. So, but anyway, but this was beautiful.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lee, for this
Yes.
opportunity, because there are women behind sports. There are women that are in very important spaces that are
Yes.
connected to sports.
Yes.
And, I think you're helping to shed a light, on that we love our children and we support them and we support other people's children.
Right.
And we are pushing this, this generation to be great because they can be.
They need to see that.
Yeah.
They need to see that. And I tell, Boo Williams, I'm with the 17U girls on this program. And I tell them all the time, 16U, I'm just like, no, I'm trying to push these young ladies out here. If anybody else, other programs that want me to do the same, I don't mind.
Yeah.
But they need to see leadership like this.
Yeah.
They need to see it. Because again, we're always behind. It's always the men. And of course, that's just who we are.
Yeah.
But we need to see some of our sisters up here. See some of these women up here that's pushing this agenda. And I tell people, I say again, I have no problem with Kayla Clark. Kayla Clark is a baller, so if she's coming in, her and Angel Reese is
Yeah.
forefooting this thing, y'all need to ride the wave.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes.
So when it comes to the basketball, so I have no problem with
Yeah.
that. If anybody has a problem with it, y'all know what y'all
And I don't even think the controversy is around those two. I
Right.
think that, just the climate of this country
right.
is like
All this
splitting
division.
us apart. And
Yeah.
so both of them deserve to be celebrated. Both of them, made the All-Star team. Both of them
And having
contributed
fun.
and having fun. We got an opportunity to see them play together, which is
That's
something
right.
that we had never seen before. And then we got an opportunity to see some other players that perhaps we didn't even know their
Didn't know that
name.
was good.
The
Right.
girl with all the threes, I can't even pronounce her name, but I mean, she was shooting the lights out of Team USA. And so we get to experience the growth and the visibility of women's sports. We're living in an incredible age for women.
Yes.
And I just want women, if you're interested in sports in any capacity, if you can help in any capacity, understand that they need you, that your voices are welcome, your expertise is welcome there, and that you can contribute something
Yes.
in sports. And it doesn't even have to be girl sports,
Right.
I think that I am the first female black chaplain in 3 counties in Virginia. I may be the only to be a chaplain for 3 schools, and particularly football. And I don't mind blazing that trail.
Yeah.
I want women to follow after me. As a matter of fact, a lady by the name of Angela Cherry down in Hampton, her son was a coach for, I think, the Hurricanes or something.
Yeah.
And he got a job at the middle school to be their head coach. And so now she's going to go to the middle school and do what I do at the high school. She called me and said, can you train me? Can you help me? I said, absolutely. So my goal is actually to develop a chaplaincy program for high schools to train people that are interested. You don't, for me, I am a licensed and ordained minister, but I don't
You don't. I would never thought that.
yeah, I don't lead with that.
Nope.
I don't try to preach to them. If your son says that he's a man of God, then I'm going to relate to him from that standard.
Right.
But other than that, we have Muslims, we have, other religions that are on our team, and I respect all of those things. I'm going to use characters in the Bible like Caleb. I love Caleb because of his tenacity and his drive to get to a goal. We may use those things, but the overall thing is inspiring them to be their best selves, helping them to see who they are at an early age, to teach them about microaggressions, to teach them about how you navigate having a difficult conversation with your parents, how you can work with the administration. You don't have to fight. You got people that can fight with you, people who will stand in the community with you. I go to funerals, with them, walk them through their parents having surgery, all of these different things. And so, just being in their lives as that other mother.
Wise counsel.
Yeah. And helping them, and to get to see them
Yeah.
be great. We have so many kids that we get to watch on Saturdays on
Yes.
TV now.
Yep.
Yes.
And so to me that is the accomplishment, that we help them matriculate to be successful on another level.
But it starts with you, without your help and your guidance, that probably couldn't have been possible. We know we see the Ty Whites, we see the Daryl Overtons, we see the Lauren Johnsons, the Charles Scotts and the Pruitts, and, Coach Harris, those people that are at the forefront. But again, it's a lot of strong women that are behind that we don't know about. And I want to push that. And that's why I was so glad that you contacted me. And ever since then, I wanted to be able to give you kudos. I got two strong, beautiful black women here that are well-spoken, and I'm just like, oh my God, just like they need to see this. So the sisters and the athletes and just anybody, just this is what it looks like. This is excellence right here, what it looks like. Again, the gold standard. I'll keep using your word.
Yes.
I know I'm pouring it on strong, but I truly mean what I say, because again, people say, you haven't, John Marshall principle, what are y'all going to talk about? You'll see.
You'll see.
You'll see. Because I'm not sense enough to know that if I can't carry this interview by myself, I'm calling for backup. So that's what I did. I called for backup, and I not her, I said, no, Karen, you can lead this thing, because I know exactly how you feel about Principal Merritte. And I wanted you to be here, because some people, like you said, they have their own agenda. No, I'm going to get in here and we're going to talk and make me look like this. No, this is a platform for the people.
Yeah.
And I tell anybody who wants to come on, this is your podcast. This is what I tell people all the time. I've been saying this since day one, and they'll tell you that. No, this ain't me. This is for y'all.
Yeah.
So
I have a saying, I say girls make great generals too.
Hey.
And so, to see this woman sit in this place and to do it so well.
It's Beyonce sitting here today.
Yes.
Come on.
Beyonce here sitting today, because this is I'm telling you, this is exactly how she feels. And I didn't come across she cared, but I know we talked on the phone, and she was like, she said, this is what you may want to do with Principal Merritte. I said, I said, no, you gonna come over here with me. I'm not doing this by myself.
Well, I'm honored. And before we leave, because we have to toast.
Oh,
Yes.
Absolutely. This is the year of the woman.
This is the
year. So I thank you for the opportunity.
Yes.
And we're going to continue. We're going to continue this work and this success.
Well, we're gonna roll out on this one, but I want to, if anybody wants to contact you or find you, I'm gonna give both of you guys the opportunity to do that. So starting with you, Principal Merritte.
Absolutely. The best way is to do it through email.
Okay.
And so I am mglass, MGLASS, at rvaschools with an S.net.
Okay. Miss Davis.
You can find me on Facebook, Karen Bettis Davis, or Apostle Karen Bettis Davis. I'm on Instagram as KB Davis Worldwide. And so just reach out. I am here.
This book.
I am a published author. I'm actually finishing up a book, a devotional that I wrote for athletes. And then I believe the book of my life that I'm going to write is that book, Girls Make Great Generals Too, because I want to interview, like today, great women like you, to hear their why, to hear their success stories, and to put it out there so that, 20, 30 years from now, some little girl is sitting, doesn't know what she wants to do, and she opens up a book and she says, this woman, where she was, what she was doing, she maximized it, and she, and she became great, and she became a leader in her field. So, I thought about that as I was driving here, is that this will probably be one of the first chapters from Girls Make Great Generals Too.
Wow. Well, I ain't gonna mess this up. On this note, all I want to say is like, subscribe to the channel. Y'all know how to find us. BallinVA 804 _ Instagram, same thing on Twitter, and we are out.
Woo.
I appreciate y'all watching the episode again today, y'all. Go over, make sure that y'all check out my man, RickStockel.com for any of your home buying needs. Appreciate it. Thanks again.